have our next participant come up, Vicky Tisdale. Oh boy, from Mujicians Brewing. Timer right there.
Hello, my name is Vicky Tisdale, and I, along with John Montes de Oca, co-founded Mujicians Brewing Company. First, let's discuss the name Mujician. A somewhat obvious combination of the words musician and magician, John and I actually created our own definition. A musician is one who discovers their inner creator, performer, and doer. As a startup brewery opening up inside the Twitter headquarters building in San Francisco, we are surrounded by musicians. The entrepreneurial and tech communities are thriving above and around us, and our brewery is right in the heart of it all. You might be wondering how we came about the most coveted real estate in the Bay Area, but first let me tell you how John and I came to start Mujicians. We first met at band camp in the fall of 2005 and became fast friends. Our many years of travel and multiple beercations across the country, we decided that we wanted to be a part of the craft beer community as more than just fans. Homebrewing started immediately. John's mechanical engineering and manufacturing background in the food industry proved to be an enormous benefit, as he could easily apply it to our own brewing process. Let's get back to today and our location. Having been in the San Francisco business scene since 2009, I have been able to connect with business and beer people alike. Early last year, a colleague of mine introduced me to Christian Cosentino, a restaurateur opening up Dirty Water, the hottest new spot in San Francisco, complete with a 7-barrel brew house and 52 beers on tap. Knowing Christian was looking for someone to run his beer program, John and I met with him, and it was over a few glasses of Saison, and our partnership was formed. This is a huge opportunity because it affords us the freedom of experimentation in our infancy. Let me explain. A majority of the workforce surrounding our location is millennials who are looking for authenticity, uniqueness, and an understanding of the history of the products they buy. The Mujicians brand embodies just that. We are focused on making high-quality beers that invite discussion, invite discovery, and invites you to come back for a second, third, and fourth round. Our goal being to explore and enhance the subtle nuances of German and Belgian-style beers by experimenting with ingredients and often mixing our own blends of yeast. By producing beers with unique flavors and interesting adjuncts, we are bringing beer back to the forefront of conversation in an otherwise cocktail and wine-focused market. Which brings us to the beer that you are tasting today, our French Drop Saison. Often the first trick a magician learns, the French drop is where you make a small object disappear in your hands. Like a magic trick, this beer is deceiving to most people because of its color. Many people associate dark beer with being thick, syrupy, roasty, bitter beers that are meals in a glass. This beer is the complete opposite: dry, earthy, herbaceous, refreshing, all inviting another sip. Thank you to Brewbound for this opportunity, and we hope you enjoy the beer.
Awesome. Thank you, Vicky. All right, Mujicians, what do you guys think of the play on words there, the hybrid word combo, and Vicky's very well-polished pitch? Nice job. What do you guys think? How about Tommy? I haven't heard from Tommy in a while.
All right. I sat in a room earlier with John wearing his T-shirt, and I was staring at it the whole time trying to figure out how to pronounce it. So it's not as obvious to me as it is to you in your pitch. I appreciate that it does blend those two words, but it wasn't obvious from the T-shirt how it was pronounced. So on a branding level, that's a tough one. I love the beer. It's really cool, and I'm a huge Saison fan, so a great start. I would like to have seen some more of the branding packaging to go with that sense of how the connection is to the millennial, specifically that millennial side, and just how you guys are connecting that. Everybody can use unique ingredients and have unique processes and fermentation through new yeasts and things like that. That's tough to do on a shelf. So how that behaves is a really important part.
Yeah, that was going to be, sort of my next question is taking a concept like this and scaling it. Clearly, it seems to be very connected to a sense of place, a location within Twitter, and it's, definitely thriving on the people that are coming to it. But how do you bring the beer to everyone else out in the marketplace? Thoughts on her ability to scale?
Well, that was one of my questions. So it was a 7-barrel brew house within this restaurant. So you're basically partners with the restaurant running a separate business in the brewery. So is the idea to distribute as well off that 7-barrel system or grow out of that location into a warehouse space? for production?
Yeah, the goal is to really start inside the restaurant and be tap room only for however long it takes, but our capacity is upwards of 750 barrels a year. We're not going to reach that anytime soon, but as soon as we hit that kind of point of no return, then we are looking in terms of, we're considering contracting, we're considering expanding throughout the Bay Area. There's a lot of different opportunities for us. We haven't quite mapped it out because we're not sure. We actually launch in Q1 of next year, so we're not quite sure how the audience is going to appreciate it and what's going to work.
Follow up real quick. Is that 750 barrels total capacity or available to you above and beyond what the restaurant needs?
Total capacity.
Okay.
So you guys are brewing beers for the restaurant in addition to the Mujicians brand.
The Mujicians brand is the only house brewed beer at this restaurant. Okay. The other 50, the other 50, 49, 48 taps are guest taps that we hand choose and bring in as well. So we run both sides of that program.
It definitely seems, more like a restaurant to start. Michael, how do you, start to develop a story and move beyond the restaurant?
Yeah, it's tricky. Southampton comes to mind as somebody on the East Coast I grew up with who followed that model, and depending on your relationship with that restaurant, it can be really tricky whether or not they help you build the brand or whether they kind of siphon off your presence and your ability to kind of get outside of that scope. Because right now, if everybody's coming to you and it becomes associated so heavily with the restaurant, when it shows up on package, that's the go-to. It's like, oh, that's that restaurant brewery, versus something that stands alone. And I think to Tommy's point, the name doesn't necessarily. When I first saw it on a T-shirt, I kept looking at Muji and thinking, like, is this a Japanese brewery? What is this? Just looking for a way to decipher that. And I think that's going to be tricky going forward. Mm-hmm. And I think with the brand look that you have right now being sort of this Art Deco thing, I don't necessarily understand the relationship between the name, which had an interesting sort of personal story to back it up that was kind of inviting, versus the look and feel of it, not necessarily knowing how those two connect or whether they do at all. So that was something going forward. Is if this is going to live outside the restaurant, you're going to have to start asking yourself, what should it be if it has to live on its own? Because that might be a very different opportunity for you.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we're out of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I'll take that from you.